Hey everyone, and welcome to my walkthrough for Phase 2 of the Dragonsong's Reprise Ultimate. Now, before we get started with the walkthrough itself, there's a few things that you should do. First off, you should split into two light party groups. I'm going to be referring to them as Group 1 and Group 2. These will be necessary for two of the mechanics that we have in this fight. Secondly, I would highly recommend you put your aggro list somewhere on the screen that it is easy to see, because during these trio mechanics, I guess we'll call them, some bosses will be doing attacks that are only visible in the party list. So either you need to get used to the timing, or you can just look in there to see the actual cast bar as well. And number 3, you should look at the edges of the arena, because there are going to be special markings. So on each cardinal and intercardinal we have this marking right here, which I will be referring to as the fidget spinner, and then everything between that, those are going to be just markings, as I'll call them. We'll be using the fidget spinner as well as the other markings to gauge the distance of where we need to stand for certain mechanics. So once you've taken care of all of that, we can get started with the fight. Very first mechanic that Torden is going to do are going to be cleaves that are baited on all of your players. This one is called Ascalon's Mercy Concealed. The way you handle this is you just all stack up. At the end of the cast bar, you move. Now, just looking at the cast bar is one way to dodge this. Another is, I'll rewind real quick, is to do it animation based. So when Torden stabs the floor with his sword, that is when you move as well. Reason why I say that is because during the trio, if you don't have your aggro list visible, you'll need to base yourself off of the animation of Torden. Right after this, your main tank is going to be getting 3 cleaves. Make sure that you have some mitigation for this, because these cleaves hurt a lot. And then we go into the first big mechanic. So for this one, Strength of the Ward, we are going to be splitting ourselves into our light parties. In our case, we had Group 1 take the numbers, and we had Group 2 take the letters. So we have color-coded markers again, just like in Phase 1, so that we can easily identify the safe spot and also call it out for all of our players. So first thing that we'll need to do is see where our safe spot is. So our knights, there are going to be 3 of them, are spawning on the outside of the arena. We have one on the right here, meaning our purple markers are not safe. We have one on the left, meaning our yellow markers are not safe, and I don't know if you caught it, but there's one that spawned behind me as well, meaning that our blue markers are not safe. So that leaves us with red, so we're all going to be moving to the red markers. When we arrive here in our safe spot, we need to spread out as well, because everybody is going to be targeted with a lightning storm AoE coming from Torden, so everybody needs to be spread. And you can also see our warrior over here preparing to do an earthquake attack. Now, to spread yourself in this safe spot, we are going to be using the markings on the arena. So the player directly in the middle is going to stand on the fidget spinner. The ones left and right will stand between the 4th and the 5th marking. And the player in the middle, which is going to be me in this case, is going to be standing on line between the middle and the fidget spinner and just slightly below this blue marking. As you can see, there are a couple of blue markings across the arena. You can use those to gauge your distance. So that's for part 1. We dodge the AoEs, we get our lightning storms, and then you can see our earthquake pulsating outwards. You can wait a maximum of 3 pulses before you need to dodge this one. If you wait for 4 pulses, it's going to be extremely difficult. So try to dodge into this AoE at the 2nd or 3rd pulse. Reason why I say 2nd or 3rd, you can even go on the first one, is because the position of the knight can be different every single time. So you might have to change your timing on dodging this AoE depending on where the knight spawns. After you dodge this earthquake, make sure that you try to stay in line with your cardinal or intercardinal that you dodge this AoE on, because Torden is going to be doing another Ascalon's Mercy Concealed, so the line AoEs baited on your players. That's why we all try to stack up in a line, and then at the end of the cast bar, or when Torden stabs the floor right here, we're going to be moving to the side, and that will resolve that mechanic. For the second part of the mechanic, we're going to be looking towards Torden. He'll be jumping to one side of the arena, and he is going to be our relative north. So if I say north, that is going to be indicating where Torden is. Left and right of where Torden is standing are going to be 2 knights. These will be tethering players with a tank buster, so your tanks need to grab these. 3 non-tank players will get these blue markers. These will make them drop a gigantic AoE on their face, so they need to be away from the group. and then our remaining 3 players are going to be running towards north. Now for your tanks taking the tethers, the blue marker players can never get a tether. So usually if everybody is going to be running north, the tethers should be in that direction as well, but stand close to your knight makes it easy. You can also see towers spawning, but I'll talk about them in just a second. So for our blue marker players, you should spread east, south and west. Our 3 players that did not get a marker go north, our tanks pick up the tether and they also go north. When it comes down to these blue players, also make sure you don't steal a tether. So if you run to your safe spot, try to go through south around the knights so that you don't grab a tether from your tank. So players spread out, tanks grab their tethers, pop mitigation, and then we go over here. Now the reason why we have our tanks north as well with the group is because these 3 players will be getting a shared damage AoE. So if we stick our tanks into this one, 3 players versus 5 players in a shared AoE is going to be reducing this damage by a lot. And we're going to be popping a lot of cooldowns anyways, so we can take the damage as the tanks. So this makes us need a lot less mitigation for these 3 players. If you're doing it like this though, you do need to make sure that your tanks are far enough away from the group, because otherwise they're going to get cleaved by your tank buster, because the tank buster is a cleave. So you do have to be careful with that. But again, we can use the markings on the arena. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to be standing between 4 and 5. And that is going to be safe for the tank busters. You could also see it right here. I'll try and pause it just right. This big AoE that you can see here on the side is from that blue marker. So those players do need to make sure that they're not standing too far north, because this could hit the tanks. In my case, I'm using home gang. It doesn't matter if I get hit by this, but my co-tank is not using an invuln. So if he gets hit by this, he's going to die. And then we spread out for our towers. Now our towers always spawn in the same positions. We have 1 east, south and west, so those are already taken care of by our blue marker players. And then there will also be 3 in the north in front of Thornton. That is going to be for the 3 players that took the group share. So again, fairly easy. Either call it out who takes what, or kind of be in a slight spread while you're taking your share damage AoE so that you know who is going to go where. And then me and my co-tank take the tank buster right here. And then that's the end of the mechanic. Thornton will cast Ancient Quagga immediately after this, which is a raid-wide AoE, so make sure that you heal up and put up some mitigation. After this, we're getting 2 tank busters. The first one is Heavenly Heal. This will put a resistance down on the main tank. So if you want to survive the 3 cleaves that come afterwards, you either need to do a tank swap or you need to use a tank invuln. The choice is yours, which one that you prefer. And then we go into big mechanic number 2. Sanctity of the Ward. Again, we're going to be splitting in group 1 and group 2. And this is where the naming of group 1 and 2 makes more sense. So first thing we need to do is locate where the Dark Knight is. That's this player over here in the back. Reason why I say group 1 and 2 is because group 1 needs to go opposite of the Dark Knight. Group 2 needs to go stand behind the Dark Knight. But as you can see, I got a marking for group 2, meaning that I need to switch with my partner that is in group 2. So over here, because I need to switch into group 2, I'm going to be calling out tanks. That's my role. That means that my co-tank will know that he needs to go into my group. Alternatively, what you can do is you can just look at your partner, and when he gets the marking of the different group, you just switch. No communication needed there. But the first few times you see this, just call out your group or call out your role, and that is going to make things a whole lot easier. So because I'm group 1 and I get a 2 marking, I need to go stand into group 2 instead. So that's number 1, locate your Dark Knight, switch groups if necessary. Number 2, we're going to be needing to see where these knights are facing. If they are facing to the outside of the arena, it's going to mean counterclockwise. If they are facing inside of the arena, that's going to mean clockwise. So now we know where we need to move. Third thing you need to do, locate where Thornton is and locate where the giant eye on the edge of the arena is. Now you can't see the giant eye on the edge of the arena. It is over here on the right. Actually, let me rewind real quick and you might be able to catch a glimpse of it. So we're going to be rotating. Yeah, there was like a slight red glow here on the top right. That is basically where the eye is going to be. It's kind of hard to see, but that is where it was. So you need to look away from Thornton, look away from the giant eye so that you don't get fierce, because otherwise you're going to be running in all sorts of directions. So we had our shrieks go off, they have been dodged. Now we move over 3 markings into the direction that we're going to be dodging. So in this case, we were going to go counterclockwise, meaning 1, 2, 3 from the fidget spinner. We're going to be waiting here until the AoEs go out. AoEs go out. Now we're going to be moving 1, 2, 3 from the next fidget spinner. Now we're going to wait for these AoEs to go out, and then we move into the middle of the arena. Here we use Torden again as our north, which I actually think he is standing north regardless. And then we are going to be splitting into groups of 2. We're going to have 1 tank and healer on each cardinal. We're going to have 1 DPS on each cardinal. Here, Torden is going to be marking one of the roles with a meteor, and this is why I'm looking inside of the arena. If, let's say, for example, tanks and healers got the meteors, and one of my healers that are standing east and west was to get a meteor and I did not, I would have to switch with them, because we're always going to be dropping these meteors north and south, regardless of the pattern that we get. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Locate which of the roles is getting the meteors, and then also see if you need to switch so that they can start north and south. Second thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that everybody has 2 people, because we will be getting a baited ice AoE, which is a shared damage. So that's why we need 2 people everywhere, and we're going to be standing around here to bait that AoE in the correct position. Third thing that you need to do is you need to see where you're going to be taking your tower. So the meteor role always has priority to take the outside towers, and the other role will have to adjust. So in my case, I look at my pizza slice of the arena, which is this thing you can see in front of me. We only have 1 tower. This means my ninja is going to go out. I will be taking a tower on the inside of the arena. So I turn around. Now, if I take a look at, for example, these people here on the right of the screen, they have 2 towers, which means that both of them will be running outside of the arena. So the AoEs go out, and then I move in, everybody takes a tower, that resolves that. As soon as the towers get resolved, the players on the outside with the meteors need to start running clockwise. Now, don't run exactly along the edge of the arena, because you might be too fast, so it's better to just kind of zigzag along the inside of these fire and ice AoEs. We have 1 person start north, 1 person start south. The other 2 players that also had to go out for their towers, because of course the whole roll had to go out, they're going to be taking towers on east and west. Players starting north and south need to do a half arena run with their meteors, so they're going to be ending up north and south again, respective of where they started, of course. The remaining players in the middle will need to take the intercardinal towers that are about to spawn, and they basically just need to look which one is free. In our case, we had 3 people stay in the middle for like the first set of towers, so that is why we just kind of need to see which 3 intercardinals are free, and then we're going to be positioning ourselves opposite to those that we can get knocked into those towers. After 4 meteors have dropped, the warrior in the middle of the arena is going to start casting Fate Unmoving. This is a knockback AoE. You can use Arm's Length if you're on the outside of the arena. If you're in the middle of the arena, you can use the knockback to get knocked back into your tower. So again, have your party list ready or count the meteors. And we get knocked back into our towers, and that resolves the end of this mechanic. Then we all stack up in front of Torden, because he's going to be doing a raid-wide AoE. Now, I would recommend you use your targetable mitigation for this. So feint, reprisal, addle, that kind of stuff. Because after this, there's going to be a second raid-wide AoE, and that one cannot be mitigated with that. So that is why you should use your targetable mitigation here. And then you can use things like Shield Samba, Shake It Off, etc. On the second AoE. So here Torden is going to do Broad Swing. This is going to be very easy to dodge. You just start south and you look at where the first swing goes. It's on the left, so we just move to the left. That's all there is to it. He's going to be doing this a second time. So stand behind Torden, look at where the first swing goes, and then move into that. That's literally all there is to it. After he's done this, he'll be starting his Enrage cast as well, but we killed him in time. And then we go into the transition into Nidhogg. So again, use your mitigation. Because this is going to be doing a lot of damage, and that is going to be the end of phase 2. So I'm going to rewind and go through the phase one more time, doing kind of like shot calls, I guess you could say, because there's a lot of mechanics that had to be explained and it could be a bit overwhelming, so that's why I kind of want to do it with a shot calling style as well. So everybody stack up for Mercy Unsealed. It's going to be casting right here, so at the end of the cast bar or when Torden stabs the floor, move to dodge these AoEs. Main tank is getting 3 cleaves, so make sure that you have some mitigation put up for this one. And then we're going to be tank swapping here because of how we decided to handle the tank busters. Strength of the ward. Spread into your 1 and 2 groups. spread into your side of the arena that you're going to be dodging at. Locate where the knight dropped. Red is going to be safe, so we run to our red safe spot. Everybody spreads out. Again, use the fidget spinner and the markings. Dodge the earthquake. Stack up. Dodge Mercy Unsealed or Concealed when he stabs the floor. Locate Torden. Players with blue spread out east, south, and west. Tanks grab the tethers. Everybody else north. AoEs go out. Everybody spreads out into the towers. End of the mechanic. Heal up. Mitigate. Because Torden's gonna do a raid-wide AoE. Then we have our 2 tank busters. Again, either you need to use a invuln for this or you need the tank swap. Choice is yours. We are going to be going for a tank swap here. So part 1 of the tank buster and then our triple cleaves. And then we get ready for our second big mechanic, Sanctity of the Ward. Again, we're going to be spreading into our 1 and 2 groups. First thing that we need to do is locate our Dark Knight. Group 1 opposite of the Dark Knight, Group 2 behind the Dark Knight. Switch groups if you need to, depending on the markers that you got. Locate the eyes, look away from them, see if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. 3 markings over for the first safe spot, 3 markings of the next fidget spinner for the second safe spot. Spread into your groups on the cardinals. Look who has the meteors, adjust if necessary. Look where you're going to be taking your tower, so look at your pizza slice. Take the first towers. Those go out. Meteors start dropping, so start wiggling around the arena. After the 4th meteor drop, use arm's length if you need to. Locate which tower you're going to be taking on the second set. Knock back. Take your tower, end of the mechanic. Locate where Torden is going to be spawning. Put up some targetable mitigation, reprisal, edel, feint, etc. to mitigate this raid-wide attack. And then we're trying to save our non-targetable mitigation for the transition to Nidhogg. Torden is going to go into the middle of the arena. We start behind him for Broad Swing. And then we move into where the first swing is going to go. And again, he's going to be doing this a second time. So start behind Torden. First swing goes out and we just move into it. Simple as that. Put up mitigation, shields, heals if needed. And then we have the transition into Nidhogg. So that's going to be doing for the walkthrough of phase 2 of the fight. If you have any more questions about any of the mechanics, then feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. And also give me some feedback about how you like the shot calling playthrough of the fight as well, or of the phase in this case, because then I might do that for Nidhogg as well. Maybe it's useful for some of you guys to just have like a quick playthrough in real time with some shot calls. Let me know what you think about it, and then I might do it for the next phases as well. But that's gonna do it for me. So I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.